Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mage,
And Ismail.
and we're bringing you a game from the PlayFFA Cup. So, Maga, why don't you go ahead and unpause now? And
Okay.
this was the PlayFFA Cup number 5, which was held, I guess, a week ago now. It was a great success, and this was one of the first round games that has been recommended to us. So we'll start in the top left corner. We have a human player that goes by the handle of 4erwac. He played some FML previously. I don't think I ever really figured out how to pronounce his name. So we'll just call him Erwac or something to that approach. To the right of him, we have Soso. He's a fairly well-known human player now, one of the top players in both PlayFFA and FML, and one of our most avid streamers. So I suspect most of you are familiar with him by now. And then below him, the dark green human is Sprouted. He's better known under the handle of ferfe. He is a very good solo player who represented Taiwan at the World Cyber Games twice, I believe, and just an overall very solid player. We'll see how he adapts to free-for-all, though. I know he's been playing quite a bit recently, but a lot of that was after the Cup, I believe. And then our last player, unfortunately for him, is Undead. I do believe Chopka is actually the AKA of somebody. Do you know who it might be?
I'm not sure, in fact, who this might be. Soso hasn't, I think, given any information regarding that.
Okay, maybe I'm just confused, but it does look like a familiar AKA, so I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out later on, but so far everybody appears to be going for pretty standard builds. You played quite a bit on this map while you were preparing for the tournament, Maga, so why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of insight into Blasted Lands?
All right, well, there are four islands or four mountains in that map, and each player has two expansions on his disposal. However, one of the expansions is guarded by dragons, only dragons, so it's pretty difficult to have it to creep it with grunts or fiends until you have reached tier 2. While elf and human players can creep it with water elementals and archers, so that gives a bit of an edge in that regard. Um, the middle creeps drop spell shields, pendant of mana, and similar items, so they're pretty nice to get. And the side red creeps drop Inferno Stone and similar items, but of course you would prefer the Inferno Stone
Hmm.
always.
Yep.
And there are shredders for everybody as well, and it's a small map, but there is a lot of gold nevertheless. So games usually are very action-packed, and still your gold doesn't get drained so quickly because you have access to a lot of gold mines.
Hmm. So we can see that two of our human players, soon to be all three, are going for a militia creep of the natural gold mine that doesn't have the dragons at it. Two of them went for the Goblin Lab, and then our undead player also has thrown up an expansion. It won't be completed the first, but he was the first person to actually get it up. So have any of our players made any big errors in creeping so far that you've seen, or is this pretty standard and typical so far?
Yeah, well, I know that Soso has been playing that map a lot, and sometimes you can do a risky move and try to creep the red creeps in the center with just footman, water elementals, maybe some militia. However, if you get attacked at that point, you're in deep trouble.
Hmm.
So we'll see if ferfe will actually attack Soso after he creeps the middle camp here.
Yeah.
Since usually that's how the solos go in that map.
That is true, and he is a solo player, so it would not
Yeah.
surprise me at all. It does look like he is moving on to try and take out this expansion now, so we know that you're actually a pretty big fan of early game aggression. What do you think about something like this, though, before most of the map has been crept?
Um, it can be beneficial, especially on such maps, but it can be beneficial only if you expect that the other players would also be either really aggressive or they kind of lack micro or you feel that you can overpower them with hero levels later on, because what usually happens is like you rush and then the rest of the players creep, as we can see here as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this map, despite being so small, does have a good number of creeps on it. I mean, you can certainly get your heroes up to something along the lines of 4-3-2, possibly 5-3-2 when you finish them off. So it does seem like it's a bit of a risky situation here, but we do see that ferfe has level 2 Water Elemental, whereas Soso just now has gotten it. I mean, in Human Mirror, where everything counts, it's got to be a really big advantage, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Level 3 water elemental makes a big deal. However, just so the Soso now has also. Um, and he actually micros better in a way. Ferfe is losing Footman. He lost the Centaur as well.
Yep, and the Archmage is getting low, so that's going to provide some issues. But on the other side of the map, we actually have Chopka harassing 4erwac as well, which it seems like a very odd move for an undead player to push at this stage of the game with only 3 Fiends. I suppose that 4erwac does not have defend yet, so it's not the end of the world, but I mean, undead seems to thrive on creeping, so if you're in Chopka's position, I presume that you would not be doing the same thing right now?
Yeah, especially that his tech is actually pretty delayed. He only recently started Tier 2, although he kind of had the resources. So I guess his macro is not so good. So in a way, maybe he wants to compensate that by inflicting some economic damage to 4erwac, I suppose. Ferfe's Archmage is getting really low, by the way.
Yeah, and we see an interesting move here. He hired an aggressive Shredder. He is retreating it now, it looks like, to go back to his base. But, I mean, we've talked about before how that really is a very powerful unit early on. But something you don't see very often is a player go hire the other player's Shredder purely for the offensive firepower it's going to provide. However, he is inflicting a lot of damage with these water elementals, and while Soso is doing a fine job of holding his own, it'll be interesting to see how that translate out later in the game. We do notice ferfe is well behind in tech. He's going to be the last person to get to Tier 2. Yep. Although 4erwac actually is really
much
bad
gold.
too. Yeah. So
well,
far,
on the other side, we see 4erwac getting defend for his footman and thus pushing away Chopka with the Fiends, since now he's also getting towers on his expansion, so I'm supposing Chopka would soon hold this aggression. But let's see.
Yep, and then on the other side of the map, Soso doing his own pushing back there to try and deal some damage back to ferfe, and obviously a little bit upset by the fact that ferfe has been harassing him all game.
Yeah. Well, I guess in his mind this is delivering justice now. But ferfe got the Medicine Man, which is a very, very powerful creep.
He did, and we saw that Chopka actually grabbed that as well. I mean, that's got to be one of, if not the best creep in the game, taking aside the ridiculous dragons that nobody actually puts in competitive maps.
Yeah, but there are actually some maps with the dragons. Well, we see that the expansion of Soso is just getting up.
Yeah.
Ferfe is staying at 50, towering up pretty heavily, and he pushed back Soso. Nobody has even touched the middle creeps yet.
No, there are a lot of creeps left here. Nobody even has the second expansion up yet, which is even more surprising to me as a free-for-all player, since we see free-for-all players tend to get those up as quickly as possible. It looks like ferfe may be going for a tower push of his own right now. We see the militia coming in, combined with the Medicine Man. That could be very interesting, since if ferfe can tower up this expansion, prevent Soso from taking it, that could be very bad news for Soso. But I do think that ferfe may be underestimating Soso's micro as well, figuring that he is a solo player and none of the free-for-all players will be able to keep up with him. But we've seen in the past that provides some trouble for the solo players.
Yeah, and the Mountain King is just coming out for Soso, so I'm supposing he will be able to stop that push. I guess he'll bolt the Medicine Man. Yeah.
Yep. And is that your cell phone going off in the background?
Yes, but I cannot turn it off for some reason.
It's a nice ringtone, Maga. Suits you.
Oh, well, I'll answer later. It's fine.
Alright, so ferfe does look like he is at least towering it up. This is going to be an interesting position for an expansion to go up. I wonder if it's more just going for the offensive towers there. On the other side of the map, Chopka actually doing a nice job taking out some of the towers for 4erwac, but I think he's really underestimating how good defended footmen are against fiends.
Yeah. Well, he's keeping 4erwac kind of low gold. Like he just has footman. He has no other production building, just the barracks, and there are only towers going up right now in his main. And Chopka has already tier 3. I guess he will start the destroyer upgrade pretty soon.
Yeah, and if he gets that up, I feel like it'll be better. But at what point do you decide that pushing's not worth it and you're going to go creep? I mean, you've certainly been in situations like this before. The Archmage getting very low has to pop a potion of vulnerability to escape there. So at what point, if you are the aggressor, do you decide, okay, it's not worth continuing to push, continuing to ruin both of our economies, and there are a lot of creeps on the map? And how do you go about diplomatically trying to solve that so the other player doesn't just come right back at you and attack?
Well, it's a tricky situation because actually I don't think they know that Soso and Ferfe are also locked in a solo. Okay, Soso is giving some information via the chat, but apart from that,
yeah, there hasn't been any scouting, just a bunch of
no scouting whatsoever. I mean, if they knew that there was also a fearsome solo going on in the same time, then it's fine to continue. I mean, if you feel like you can take it, you can kill your opponent pretty quickly, then it's worth it. And soon he'll get destroyers, although he just has one slaughterhouse, which is a big mistake. So I don't believe that he will be able to kill actually 4erwac pretty quickly.
Yep. So what do you think about the decision to go for the Crypt Lord as the third hero that Chopka has made?
Crypt
I'm guessing
Lord
it's not going to be overwhelmingly a positive.
Yeah, well, Crypt Lord is good against ground armies, actually pretty good. So against Orc, for instance, is pretty efficient. However, once there are tanks and breakers on the field, and there are 3 humans here, so we can expect that they will pop out eventually. Yeah, he will be as good as useless, in my opinion. So Soso is actually down to 1 base, by the way.
He is, and ferfe has his 2 expansions up, and the Alchemist was the second hero choice here for ferfe. It's an interesting choice, but in Footman Wars, it's really serving him very well. The Mountain King getting very low, forced to pop a potion of health there, and ferfe has to get his Alchemist out of the battle. But so far, this does appear to be going in ferfe's favor, if for no other reason than he has his opponent's Expo towered up and mining gold for himself. So if you are in Soso's position, you're kept to a keep right now. What type of unit combination are you going for? It looks like he's going for mortars, probably the obvious choice for taking down a bunch of footmen. But do you think that's a good combination long-term, or do you think he's going to be forced to switch over at some point?
I think the Mountain King just died of 4erwac's Mountain King. Anyway, I think he's in a position right now where he just needs to survive. I mean, at this point, he cannot even think about long term because he has to fight for his own survival here. By the way, what time are you exactly right now?
14:09.
Okay, you're way ahead of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My bad. I'll pause it at 14:16. Let me know when you get here.
14:16. Okay. Okay, still not. 48, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay.
Alright, I'm unpaused. Alright, there we go. So, as you can see, you're a little caught up now. Soso is in here, and we do see actually Chopka going ahead and creeping out some of that middle camp we talked about. Ferfe and Soso continue to battle it out here. The mass battle of water elementals, however, Both players adding in some Priest to try and get Dispel into play. And the Mortars here for Soso could really help him out, though, and also could help take down this expansion that ferfe has managed to get up, which I'm sure Soso would like to get back at some point.
Yeah, all those 6 towers, that's going to take a while
That is
to
indeed,
kill.
and we can see the Alchemist here actually doing a lot of damage with Acid Bomb. So what do you think of the decision that ferfe's made to go for an Alchemist as opposed to the traditional Mountain King or even a Panda that's more seen?
Well, it's an interesting choice because the Mountain King just
Yep.
died. That was a bit mismicro there.
Yep.
Well, it's not as good as Mountain King or Panda because it's not as efficient when breakers or even knights are on the battlefield. Because with Mountain King, for instance, you can stun, an enemy hero surrounded with breakers easily.
Mm-hmm.
While with Alchemist, yeah, you just throw an acid bomb on the mortar teams. Like it's not as efficient. And well, I'm thinking that Soso is going to die soon. Like
Yeah, but
there is
look
Earth
below them.
Hero.
We've got Chopka actually in the process of lining up to hit ferfe, it looks like. So while Soso is on the ropes right now, I think that he's going to get some help from the undead player.
Yeah. Well, that seems like a lucky turn of events because I don't think Chopka knows at all that Soso is about to die. Although Soso is really trying to get some help from anyone.
Yeah, he's conveying the fact that it's not going very well for him. We do see ferfe now on the way up to 80, but if Chopka plays this well, he may be able to deal a huge blow to him. He's come at a really good time to intercept him, and ferfe looks like he cannot decide whether or not he wants to continue killing Soso or come back and save his base. However, both of the Shredders have gone down for ferfe, and we see a Knight going to go down here as well. So Chopka was able to take out both of those red camps in the middle. The Death Knight's going to hit level 5, seeing it's got an Ankh of Reincarnation. We've got a Orb of Darkness on the Crypt Lord, and that would be 533 for his hero level. So despite the fact that he's had somewhat of a shaky to start and perhaps some questionable decision making, he looks like he's going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, in
Especially if
fact,
ferfe doesn't defend.
yeah, he has 3K. He has the best levels right now. Excellent items, and he has an army to counter ferfe. So we'll see how it goes now.
Yeah, this is the TP coming in here. I don't think that Chopka's in very good position. One of the Frostworms going down very quickly, and it will go down there. We see that the Knights go ahead, and a big Impale takes out most of them there. Well played on Chopka's part there. Knights are getting low. The Paladin's still very low leveled there for ferfe, so not able to heal much up there, but one of the Dragonhawk Riders come in and completely
The
taking that
Archmage
Worm
is
out of the
getting
game.
low.
Archmage
No
is getting
TP.
low, as is the Death Knight. Did not notice there's no TP on the Archmage, and it does go down there. A nice nuke goes off by Chopka. Gets up to 544 before TPing out here, so while ferfe is going to live, a nice fight for Chopka, and it'll be interesting to see if 4erwac has been scouting it all and has any awareness of what's going on right now.
I'm not sure. I think he had a farm in the middle of Chopka's base, like for some reason. So he saw that Chopka's DK was really low. However, he has barely any gold, 75 food, 0 flying machines. I'm not really certain that he can do any significant damage. However, the Crypt Lord here, as I mentioned earlier, is like as good as useless. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He cannot do anything, more or less. Okay, there are still some knights, but apart from that, it's not going to do any significant damage. However, the Lich has a pendant of mana, so that's a lot of Novas right there.
Yep, and we can see that ferfe continuing to do some damage to Soso coming in here. Really trying to make sure that Soso is not going to get back on the game. Probably a wise move on ferfe's part, since if you've been soloing somebody the entire game, you can bet they're going to come back and try to suicide you later on if they're given the chance. What do you think about this army composition, though? It seems very odd to me. I mean, Knights and a few Dragonhawk Riders, 3-0 upgrades on the Dragonhawk Riders.
I think they were kind of made in panic, when Chopka was in the middle of his base and he saw so many worms and destroyers. He was like, "Oh my God, I have no time to get tanks. I have no time to get flying machines. So I'm
Yeah,
just going to
that
spam
makes
these
sense.
hawks."
They are pretty effective at taking down this red creep camp, though. I mean, goes down pretty much without a fight there. He has pulled his Archmage back, or it's still dead, rather, so that's allowed him to not leech any experience onto them. And Soso finally in the process of getting his first expansion up 20 minutes into the game. I suspect he's not very happy about that.
Yeah, and don't forget that this is a tournament where $250 are at stake. So to have such a bad start in the beginning of the game is truly unnerving. I'm sure Soso is on his toes right now.
Yep, but it does seem that he at least is not giving up and is trying to get back in here. And Chopka's going to go ahead and push onto ferfe here, it looks like.
And 4erwac might attack Soso's expansion.
Yeah,
Or
this,
not, he just backed. So that saved Soso from getting his first expansion killed almost a minute after he got
yep.
up. So
So what do you think about this decision by Chopka to go ahead and attack ferfe? I like it, but it does appear that he is a little bit outgunned right now. Ferfe has created a better army for fighting him, and he's going to have to rely on the nuking of the heroes, it seems like, to do the damage he wants to do.
yeah, well, he's doing a good job. And those knights, I mean, knights are just not. Oh, and the
Ooh,
Archmage
Archmage
just died.
again. Level 6 Death Knight is out. 5 on the Crypt Lord, 5 on the Lich. And,
Yeah, and so many Novas right there that are going to be spammed all over these Hawks and Griffins. And yeah, I think ferfe might be killed here. He has no gold.
and the Paladin goes down there as well. I mean, we talked about it a moment ago, but the Dragonhawk Riders do have 0 armor upgrades on them. So, as you said, they just go down almost instantaneously. The Fiends helping to go ahead and web the Dragonhawk Riders when they have managed to grab
Oh,
the
the
Frostworms.
Alchemist.
And the Alchemist does fall a second later, so that's a clean hero sweep for Chopka. And Chopka actually looks like he is not going to push his advantage, though.
Yeah, he's just backs off. Interesting decision. Maybe he's confident now that he doesn't need to kill ferfe because you just obliterated his army, and he feels like he can do that again with his superior levels and the amount of gold he has. But that's a risky choice.
Yep. I mean, there is a good possibility when you're able to tome somebody. I'm not sure if he really knows who ferfe is, but you don't
Yeah.
like leaving a solo player in the game since they can make really great use out of a 60 food army, and even if they don't have a chance at winning, they may continually harass you. Soso actually forced to use a potion of healing to keep his Mountain King alive there, but it does look like he's going to clear up the expansion that ferfe has up. And this is actually going to end up hurting ferfe pretty badly, because despite the fact that he's had so many expansions, he's only got 500 food and 200 wood.
Yeah, and Soso is staying 50, so he's slowly but surely catching up on gold. He has the other expansion on his hill, so well, the biggest problem for him right now is the fact that his heroes are just so weak and they have no items whatsoever. They don't have periups, they don't have practically anything. So against the undead heroes, I can see them falling pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I don't think that we have a paladin created yet for Soso. Do you think he wants to just level his first 2 heroes up, or do you think he's just trying to stay below 50 and that's why he hasn't gotten his 3rd hero yet?
Yeah, I'm guessing he wants to stay below 50, although he can easily kill like 2 priests or something just to free up the supply. Oh, 4erwac is attacking now.
And speaking of low hero levels, 4erwac is desperately in need of some experience right now. I mean, he is going to go down instantaneously to Chopka, I think.
Yeah, well, the flying machines are 3-0 now, so they can shoot down the destroyers and the worm pretty quickly. If those destroyers do not have mana, they cannot deal with all these destroyers. Um, so I'm guessing that chopka, although he will end up victorious in the battle that is going to happen, he will be damaged. He will lose those air units.
So if you're
But
in
let's see
Chopka's
though.
position, how would you handle this fight? Well, we'll talk about it after the game. We do see that 4erwac can go ahead and lead with the flying machines now, trying to keep the Griffin Riders from getting webbed. And I suspect we're going to see a significant nuke on the Archmage momentarily. We do see Impale go off, and there we go, dragging 4erwac back into his towers, trying to get some extra damage done by the Spirit Tower since they do have 0 upgrades on defense. They're going to go down pretty quickly. Nice job of just kind of continually baiting 4erwac into coming further into the base. We can see that some of the Griffin Riders are getting low, and a TP coming out here by the Archmage that is level 6 hit on the Lich as well. So Chopka did lose some of his army there, but it's not going to hurt him too badly.
Yeah, well, it was not a wise decision to go directly into the main base where 3 spirit towers are attacking your 3-0 flying machines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was not a good choice, obviously. And Chopka actually has a pretty nice micro, and he seems to be experienced in free-for-all. He's saving his main gold mine.
I noticed that earlier, yeah. He's got 3,000 in it and has completely moved his Alkalites off to go mine onto other mines.
Yeah, although now he has no mines whatsoever, so he kind of needs to put some acolytes there. I suppose he will do that momentarily.
Yep, and ferfe seems to be making a good job of trying to make enemies out of everybody. He first attacked Chopka, now he's back at soso. He hit 4erwac in between. So I would not be surprised to see him be taken down by all the players at once before too long. But here we go. Chopka is going to try and continue attacking him, take out some of the expansions first. Soso does still have 2 expansions up and running, fortunately for him. And here comes the mass TP. We'll see how he takes this fight, but Chopka should be in good shape here. And ferfe has not been able to keep his units alive prior. Only has 1 Dragonhawk Rider, and I think the Griffin Riders are going to go down pretty quickly.
Yeah, and he led with the Griffin Riders. Yep. They got webbed immediately. And yeah, that's a terrible, terrible
level 6 on the Crypt Lord does come out. The Alchemist is currently in chemical rage, but the heroes are going to be nuked down before too long, I would guess. Caster surprisingly staying alive for a good bit of time, but the Destroyer is just feeding off of them, gaining extra mana very quickly. Death Knight is getting a little bit low, and the Alchemist does go down there. And so that's one of the heroes down. I suspect we'll see that the Paladin is just now coming back in here. He does have a scroll of Reanimate Dead, so if there's ever going to be a time to use it, this might be the time to use it when you're looking pretty bad. But ferfe actually looks like he is going to hold off there. Nice staff on the Griffin Rider to get it out. The second Griffin Rider is going to go down and could lose the Shredder. There we go.
Chopka actually used it.
Yep.
Used Animate Death.
So interesting that I'm not sure if he got that at level 6 or level 7. But good use preemptively there, and then I presume he has Death Pact since he's only got Unholy Aura 2. Should be able to heal up that Death Knight as well.
Yeah, he used Death Pact once, so actually he can use it on the animated death units.
Yep, exactly.
He can heal up his Death Knight with an animated Crypt Fiend. However, I guess he doesn't know that, so...
Looks like he's just going to use him to harass the expansion instead.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. It looks like we've got a moment, and we'll start with Chopka, but let's talk about what they've done well so far this game, what they need to improve upon, and what their path to winning is as you see it.
Well, ferfe is down to 50 gold and 1 peasant, by the way. 2 peasants, sorry. That doesn't look good. That looks terrible, and I suspect that soso now, as I see he has made some tanks, some casters, breakers. I'm guessing he is just going to end ferfe very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like ferfe is actually going towards soso, or maybe not. Oh yeah, he is. Interesting choice. Well, I think ferfe is going to lose pretty soon here. Well, 4erwac is just... yeah, kind of being the passive player here. He was 50 so far. Now he's 80 food. I guess he might go for Chopka. And Chopka himself is staying 50. I guess he realizes that he needs some gold right now. So yeah, everybody seems to be playing, except Furphy, seems to be playing reasonably, to say the least, considering the circumstances in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting after Furphy is out to be a very balanced three-way. But let's see how it goes.
Yep, and it does look like Chopka may be the one to take Ferfe out, actually, and Ferfe calling it a suicide despite the fact that Chopka is managing to contain him relatively well at 50 so he can bank up in the meantime. Very nice play by him so far. We can see that the expansions that Chopka is on have a lot of gold currently, so he's not going to have to worry about that. And Death and Decay comes out in perfect order here. It's going to take down pretty much all of the towers at once. You don't see a whole lot better tower placement for Death and Decay.
Yeah. As an undead player, I can confirm that placing your towers like this, yeah, please do it.
Continue to do it.
It's beautiful to watch as they all crumble in the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I always love to see that.
And there they go. And the Lich actually gains pretty decent experience at the same time out of that, so not that there's any gold left at this expansion, but it will go down. And here we go. Ferfe finally going to apply some counter pressure here to Chopka. I thought it was kind of interesting that it took him so long to do so while Chopka was actually hitting him. And 4erwac looks like he is on the move as well, has some tanks. If those go into Chopka's base, I'm not sure how well he's going to be able to deal with them at the moment since he is at 50.
Yeah, and he has nothing to deal with 8 tanks. Ooh, that might get pretty dangerous for Chopka right here. He used his Death and Decay as well, which could be, well, if it's well placed on the entrance of the cliff, can damage a lot of tanks. But I'm doubtful that he can hold this.
Yep,
That's
it is 96
arm.
food right now versus 48 essentially. Does the Crypt Lord's ultimate hurt tanks, or is that only on organic units that it does damage?
I think it's only organic units.
Okay, well that's going to be a problem for him as well, since it might have been a solution. Looks like the Mountain King getting very low here does get a quick nuke, perhaps potion vulnerability. And Ferfe coming in here too and trying to do some damage to Chopka at the same time. Soso content to just stay back, or no, it looks like he's going to go ahead and hit 4erwac instead, perhaps saving Chopka and repaying the favor from earlier in the game. But Chopka's going to be in trouble regardless right now. He is hiding behind the towers, trying to keep himself alive for as long as possible. One of the expansions does go down for 4erwac. He is not moving. And this would be a shame if the player who I think has played the best so far goes down. But that is a tendency when you're at 50 and you don't scout well. You can get taken down relatively easily, even by somebody whose Archmage is only level 4.
Yeah, well, that's the issue of having a human neighbor with a lot of gold and tanks, and to hoard as an undead player, it's very risky because, yeah, you can just lose half of your base as he did right now. Soso helped Chopka right now, which, well, if he actually knew that 4erwac had just 1k, I would guess that he would kill right now Chopka, gain the experience of killing his heroes, and then finish 4erwac. However, of course, that's very
easy to say.
It's very easy for us because we're observers. While he was getting rushed in the very beginning, so I don't think he actually knows how much gold the rest of the players have. So I guess he was just going to finish Ferfe, and Ferfe is like 74 gold, cannot even make a peasant. So
yeah, he does have a bunch of items he could sell off though, and I'm surprised that he has not yet started selling them off. I mean, this would be a great time to sell that scroll of Animate Dead while you're below 50 and desperately need the gold. But it doesn't look like it's going to make any difference here, and does get a staff out. What could be interesting is if Chopka really weakens Ferfe, and then Soso is able to clean up and get all the experience out of it. Since if Chopka gains the experience, then Soso is still stuck with a level 1 Paladin, level 3 Mountain King, and level 4 Archmage. But it does look like Chopka is going to go ahead and back off for the moment, but 4erwac is going to hit ZT Soso up top at the same time, it looks like. So it really is the game of carousel with our players hitting each other right now. And I presume Soso is going to TP. I don't think he really wants to lose this expansion.
Yeah, well, he's maybe a bit, yeah, hesitant. Okay, he's tipping now.
Yep.
He decided that, yeah, but a bit too late.
Unfortunately for him, that is indeed the case, and now he's going to get a chance to try and take out some of Fairfie's units, get some experience out of it. We'll see if he's successful, but looks like he's going to get ready to just go ahead and TP back to his main base, protect it from the incoming tanks that 4erwac has.
hmm I think 4erwac is actually the only player that kind of scouted this game. So he's the one with the most information about who has the most gold, and he does the right decision here. Soso has almost 5k. He had an expansion running. Okay, his heroes are inferior, but also Soso is a very experienced free-for-all player. Has nice micro. So in terms of having this in mind, triggers you to attack him when he's vulnerable, as he is right now.
Yep, and
And
he
the
has to
castle
deal
might go
with
down.
Fairfie at the same time. He is TPing now. It looks like he will be able to prevent it depending on
Oh,
how 4erwac deals with this. Big blizzard going off right now, damaging 4erwac's tanks, and the mortars should play a key differential in this battle. I think we do see the TP coming out here by 4erwac now, and that should allow Soso to go deal with Fairfie as well. Though the shredder going down, and Soso does not have a ton of wood, so that may actually hurt him. He'll have to be careful that he doesn't get too low on it, and that he either replaces the shredder or gets some peasants to mine it.
yeah. Well, yeah. He just has 900 wood. He's also capped at 90. So in case he loses the castle or his town hall, he's going to be in a big trouble. And that's a thing. So that's a mistake Soso makes quite often. Like he doesn't build a lot of farms to cover up all the town halls in case he loses them. Like that one in the middle, for instance. I mean, it's very vulnerable, and
Hmm.
it's quite possible that he will lose it. And if he loses the peasants, then he will be capped at 80 with no possibility of rebuilding until he loses some of the army as well. So it's very, very risky, and it's walking on thin ice here. However, he was kind of put in such situation. So
Yep, and look at that TP. Gets a surround off on the Alchemist. However, a beautiful invisibility goes off on the Alchemist and allows it to escape. Very quick move there from Fairfie to get away. Pretty impressive, but does look like Soso is going to continue to push, try and take out Fairfie again.
Furphy is actually very resilient. He's still not out of the game, although he has been having 74 gold for the past 10 minutes, I feel. And also, by the way, a quick tip for the players, the free-for-all players listening to this cast, you can actually dispel invisibility. So while Soso had the alchemist surrounded, he could use the priests to dispel the area, and the alchemist would have been revealed.
Well, that actually
And
is a very helpful tip. I mean, it's not something that most players know, I presume, but if Sosa had been able to pull that off, it would have been even more impressive. I think it was impressive as was that Fairfie managed to go ahead and cast Invisibility. But speaking of his spellcasting, we noticed that he still has Water Elemental. I don't think it's that he doesn't have the gold for it, since I have seen him continue to go Water Elemental in most games. So what do you think of the decision for him to stay at Water Elemental as opposed to retraining to Blizzard the way that Soso did?
whew, well, it's maybe just saving gold, maybe just forgetting about it. Many possibilities, many options. Why? But uh, it's never a good idea to have the water elemental. It has very limited use. Blizzard is just much better overall. So I'm just guessing he forgot. However, I see that 4erwac has no gold mine, and okay, he saved the 2k, but he's down to 27 gold.
Yep, and he's at 100. It's very much in just pure tanks right at the moment. He's got 4 mortars and 5 Griffin Riders. Looks like this is an army designed to try and fight both human and undead at the same time. What do you think of this army composition?
Yeah, it's simple, yet it will be good to fight both kind of armies. I mean, mortar teams obviously would not stand a chance against worms or griffins, but they're excellent against tanks. So, and also in case you have to siege up the chopka's base, which has a lot of spirit towers. So I'm guessing it's a good choice, but he doesn't have almost any breakers, and while Soso has, well, not many either, but still he's focusing more on the ground-based armies, while Griffins are just not as good against tanks.
Mm-hmm.
They just get melted away very quickly, especially with Blizzard. So I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
4erwac actually does not have any casters either, so no priests for inner fire. There are no
Yeah.
sorceresses. An interesting decision. Do you think that is just he couldn't fit into the army, or do you think it's because the other players have destroyers and spellbreakers?
Well, I guess he just wanted more tanks. That's my that's how I see it. That's how I see it. And by the way, Furphy is just suiciding Soso right here. I mean, Soso I think had enough of it and just wants to finish Furphy right now because he lost quite a lot of peasants due to harass.
Yeah, understandable for sure. So if you're in the position where you have to deal with a player who seems hell-bent on harassing you all game, taking you out, what is the correct way to deal with that?
The correct way is what Soso is doing right now. Just kill him. Like, don't peace with the player that has a grudge on you or just can backstab you at any point. It's useless. And actually, it can be dangerous because if you peace and you think, he won't attack me, suddenly he's back with an Archmage harassing your expos. Yeah, so Soso is doing the right move here. Finish him off. No peace, no negotiations, nothing. Just
Go ahead and get him out of the game, and it looks like Soso should be able to do that pretty soon. However, 4erwac is in the vicinity, as is Chopka, so it'll be interesting to see if one of them is going to make a move, try and backstab Soso as this is going on. And looks like they're going to back off here, and actually it looks like 4erwac is going for Soso's base as well. Ferfe able to do some annoying things like killing the peasants and the extra towers, however, nothing that's going to be incredibly damaging. Probably the most so is that Soso has not been able to mine gold consistently for a while. However, this army that 4erwac has coming in could do a lot of damage, and Ferfe may be kept alive for a little while longer at least. And I'm not sure if Soso can take 4erwac's army at the moment. Do you think he can?
yeah, actually, I'm not sure either. And Soso's base doesn't have any towers anymore. Again, he lost the Town Hall, so now he's capped at 78.
Yep.
If he gets attacked right now, that's going to be a big issue, and those peasants are going to give level 3 Paladin and Mountain King. So let's see if he's going to push. If he pushes, that would be great news for the undead. Great levels, a lot of gold, a lot of towers in the base.
Yep, and we do see
there is a fight.
4erwac has Blizzard as well, so that's going to be the question of who can do more damage to the tanks. Looks like we had a quick pause there. Not entirely sure what that was about, but it did not seem to come at a particularly convenient time while they were fighting. We've got Soso currently at 69 food, so he lost a little bit there. 4erwac is at 89, so he lost a tiny bit as well. And over on the other side, it looks like Ferfe is going to go ahead and harass Chopka instead now.
Yeah, well, 4erwac, he plays kind of strange. This is his last army, basically, the last 100 food army that he's going to have. And he's playing it kind of aggressively. He uses flares a lot to scout what is going on, which I like. So I guess he knows now that the undead is kind of hoarding. Ferfe is still hanging on. I'm truly impressed by this resilience that he's showing here.
It does look like that's not going to be for too much longer, though, as Chopka looks pretty intent on finishing him off. Death and Decay going off, taking out a good chunk of the buildings up top. It shouldn't be more than 45, 60 seconds maybe before ferfe is out of the game, and he's not even bothering to TP in and defend it, it doesn't look like. Perhaps for the best, since that might just feed Chopka instead, but interesting decision there to run back instead of mass TP. I don't know if it's on cooldown or what.
I don't know. I guess he just wants to come from behind and try to kill the Lich.
I suppose so, but yeah, the Lich is pretty much taking absolutely no damage, and there we go. We do see that the Archmage getting very low, has a potion of vulnerability, but goes down anyway. That's level 7 on the Crypt Lord. So ferfe coming and actually trying to defend this is going to be the best thing that could have happened for Chopka right now. It puts him in very good position. Wand of Wind comes out, but we do see the Destroyer take it out on one of the heroes, and the Alchemist goes down there. The Sorceress follows suit after. The Paladin has very little health right now, and the Griffin Rider is going to go down. But there we go. We do see that 4erwac is going to go ahead and hit Chopka now, and Chopka is going to be forced to TP. He has only 47 food and not a whole lot of production buildings as we speak. Only 2 crypts and a slaughterhouse, it looks like, as well as a boneyard.
Yeah,
2 slaughterhouses, I suppose.
Yeah, well, 4erwac is kind of hesitant to push. I guess he feels that like maybe there are more units behind. But if he uses those tanks, he can melt that base.
Yeah, and combined with the mortars, I mean, it's odd that he's letting the Griffins take so much damage right now, because those are going to go down to nuked very quickly. But if you just lead with the tanks and then you follow up with the mortars, you should be able to do quite a bit of damage. I wonder if he's just nervous about the fact that he has pretty much no gold left, and that's why he's playing it so cautiously.
Yeah, I guess he just he's playing very, very careful not to lose a lot of units, because you can see how hesitant he is. Maybe I should push, maybe I shouldn't. Okay, well, ferfe is out of the game.
Yep, soso finally able to take him out there after a long and not particularly well-fought war for soso, since he got rushed so early, and the Archmage is forced to use its potion of vulnerability. It only has 700 HP total. We do see some of the mortars and tanks both getting low, and positioning there for Chopka is on point.
Yes, I feel like maybe the Nova was almost ready for a final blow to these mortars, but well, they'll see another day.
Yep, nice timing for 4erwac to get out when he did, but still he's down to 81 food now, and we can just see how many of his units are low. I'm surprised he's not killing off 1 food so that he can start mining at 80, but Chopka going to be facing the double team now. We do notice soso only has 250 wood right now. He's being forced to rebuild a bunch of his farms as well. However, ferfe killed off that shredder, and it has not been replaced the second time, so soso could face... maybe it has. I see wood being added somewhere.
No, I don't think so. There are no shredders. From I just checked, and I don't think there is a shredder.
Maybe a canton building or something. But yeah, so soso could face a wood problem before too long. It is something that our human players can speak to pretty frequently, as Renault will tell you.
Yes, it's a very tricky situation, because you usually check, like, what you check first and foremost is how much gold you have, but very often you just overlook the wood numbers, and you think like, oh, maybe I just clicked a few upgrades or something, or a few units, and the peasants and the shredder will, harvest more wood in no time. But in fact, after a battle, for instance, you start clicking on the production buildings, and suddenly there's like the no wood message, and it's going to be really bad.
Yeah, I mean, you can have
realize this.
all the gold that you want, but
he bought a shredder.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Alright, so it does look like we're going to have a 2v1 against Chopka right now. 4erwac trying to come in from one side, and we've got soso theoretically coming from the other. It looks like Chopka is actually going to take the fight to 4erwac and try to do some damage the first time around. For me, I feel like that's the best way to deal with teaming, is take it head-on with one of the players first so they don't actually have the time to get into a coordinated win. How do you, as an undead, deal with it, especially with two players who have a lot of tanks, which are just ridiculously difficult to take down?
Yeah, usually the best strategy is to get out of your base, not actually take the fight. Not actually take the fight because dealing with so much tanks is going to be impossible. And just go, for instance, to Soso's base, attack the castle, make him TP, fight a bit, then TP back and fight 4erwac, push him away. That would be the best kind of decision. But yeah, it's easy to tell. But when they're coordinating with so much tanks and your base is kind of fragile, it's risky, and it's unnerving. I
Uh,
mean, you can have like 4K gold or 14K gold, doesn't matter, and then suddenly your base is wiped.
Yep, and the one thing that really stands out to me is the fact that we don't see, there's one meat wagon here for Chopka, but we don't really see the meat wagons playing a role in taking down the tanks. We've seen that you use them pretty frequently. We do see that Soso actually has an issue with the Archmage, does cast invisibility on it, and Chopka is going to try and take the fight to Soso first, force TP out. The Archmage super low, there we go, TP does come from the Archmage, and now he just has to try and deal with 4erwac as well. And
The Lich is getting
Lich
low.
getting low, does have a potion of vulnerability. Nice heal there by Chopka, and we can see Chopka used Animate Dead as well. Soso is back in his base as we speak, and look at the damage that the mortars are dealing right now to these towers that are just kind of clustered up there. When the tanks come in, I suspect that Chopka is not going to be very happy with how quickly these towers fall to them. He also has to worry
Yeah,
about
they're
keeping these
actually
worms alive.
what 4erwac is doing is like he's using attack ground instead of just focusing the ziggurats one by one, and that actually makes more damage when they're clumped up like this. That's why he managed to take all these towers on the top so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's yeah, as you can see, like putting it right in the middle in between the ziggurats and the citadel, and you do insane amount of damage. And he's going to take down the citadel, I feel
Yeah,
like.
Citadel is getting very low. And he's really just been allowed to focus down with these mortars the entire time. No damage really done to them. Chopka has not tried to make a breakover and just nuke them down, and as we saw, the Black Citadel did go down there for him. And Chopka is pretty low on wood as well. Now we've got Soso coming in from the other side, and if Chopka's not careful, this could be the end of him, and he might get teamed out here really quickly. Interesting Spirit Tower formation here. Had not seen that before.
Yeah, well, Soso seems like he's way ahead in the lead right now. Most gold, kind of similar levels like 4erwac, and Chopka is dying here. So, in case they don't stop teaming, I suppose he might just be out of the game. And the point here is if they continue to team him, at what point one of them backstabs the other?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be soon, you think, but is there a possibility they could just team Chopka out of the game? I mean, I think for Soso, that would be an overwhelming win if he could get Chopka out, and then I'm very confident he could take down 4erwac in a 1v1 right now. It seems like 4erwac is the one that's going to have to backstab Soso before too long if he wants to keep Chopka in the game to help him win.
Chopka just said that ferfe wins. I guess he didn't realize that ferfe actually finally was out of the game. Chopka hides an acolyte now, so he's going to be able to rebuild in some way in case Soso continues to put some pressure. But I think 4erwac is going to kill Soso's expansion. He kind of scouted that Soso has 2 middle mines.
Yep.
Which, of course, while he has none, that's not going to be good for him if Chopka eventually dies off.
So if you are in Soso's shoes right now, do you try and finish off Chopka and get him out of the game, or do you try and defend this expansion? I mean, I think personally it would be more advantageous for Soso to take the undead player out of the game. There really aren't very many buildings here, and he's got to fear that the fact that Chopka has 777 heroes right now. His Archmage only has 925 life.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, uh, there is not really any point in defending those expansions. I mean, right now he's going to save 1K, 1.5K expansion, waste time,
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, that's very similar to the game in the semi-final. I feel like, and although again here is different because he was getting rushed, but when you in general, time is also a precious resource. Like you don't save useless expansions like just 1K from which you will get 700 gold.
And
Like
you have to waste a TP to get there and the gold to repair it as well.
yes, exactly. And instead, you could have just killed all these ziggurats that are clumped up like this. Maybe nuke the Death Knight, kill some hero or something, get chopped out of the game, get amazing levels, which is what matters in human, in actually any mirror matchup. If you have like better levels than your opponent and in general better micro, you're going to win even if you're down like 5K or something, like 5 to 10K. It's fine. I mean, yeah. However, now he again wanders around, is a bit confused. I guess it's understandable now. I guess after that early game, he's just uncertain how much gold they have, but he must know that 4erwac didn't have any expansion for so long. Cannot be
Yeah,
that rich.
and we can see Soso doing a nice job in the fight here. Should be able to gain some good experience out of this. However,
Yeah,
we also see Chopka is being allowed to rebuild. He's got another mine going, and he
and he
continues to be
saw
the
with the
player that's the
shade that
biggest threat.
fight, and
Yep.
he's going to come.
And there we go. It's kind of a battle of who can keep their mortars alive the longest, since the tanks are doing absolutely nothing except wandering around the map right now, and perhaps dying to their own friendly blizzard that takes them down, as 4erwac just exemplified there. And the Paladin is forced to use Divine Shield. Both Paladins have Divine Shield up. The level 4 Mountain King of Soso doing its best to take down this Archmage that 4erwac has. And while 4erwac's Archmage is level 5, it only has 675 health right now. I mean,
Yes, but
that's...
Chopka is here, and he's killing off Soso's tanks,
Yep.
and his heroes are really low. In case he has a shade. If he sees now the Paladin or the Mountain King, they could die.
Yeah, and I suspect that he is going to do that. If he gets a nice impale off here, then
Yeah.
that's going to be perfectly timed. It looks like he is going to go for that, and the Paladin gets away surprisingly, actually.
He, yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't use Impale immediately right there
Yeah,
and
that...
just Quell Nova.
I mean, that's your advantage of having Crypt Lord, is leading with impale is a good thing. It's just after that, it doesn't do a whole lot of good for you.
Well, he's pushing into Soso's base right now, and Soso is he's saying that he's down to 55. Well, he's 73, but oh, the Mountain.
Oof. Mountain
Oh,
King
he
does have
has
the
nine.
Ankh, though, yep. However, we could see the Archmage quickly follow suit after this, and Archmage will be forced to TP away. Mountain King very low as well now, and does get a heal off by the Paladin there. Soso wisely TPs as far back into his base as he possibly can. However, he may get himself
Yes,
stuck here
however,
as the Archmage and Paladin both very low. Paladin does go down there. Nothing to heal up the
no TP on
Archmage.
the Archmage.
Yep. And
And
Archmage
yeah,
Staff,
he's going
down it goes. And Mountain King only 100 mana left now.
Yeah, that was really, really unfortunate for Soso that this shade actually saw that battle.
Mm-hmm.
He has 3K left. Well, if he's left alone now and they team again the Undead, he might be able to rebuild.
Yeah, and we
And
have
see,
no TP on the Archmage, which goes down. We mentioned it had 675 health. We can see why that is such a problem, as the Mountain King looks like it may go down as well. There does get staffed out, but now the Paladin's Divine Shield looks like it may go off soon, and
yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
level
Chopka is
one.
going to chase that down. He's picking off tanks one by one as we speak, and he really is the dominant force in the game right now. That Paladin is very bold to come anywhere near these heroes right now. If I was in his position, I would be terrified of the fact that that combination can nuke you down in seconds.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have even a production building yet, but he's managing to keep his units alive. Like even those fiends, the destroyer, the worm, and he's using it to his advantage, doing a very nice job. In fact.
Yep, and I mean, something perhaps most importantly is he's keeping them away from his base right now. As long as he is the one controlling the fights, being the aggressor, and keeping the shade on him, he's doing a fantastic job of scouting right now. It
Hmm.
allows him to set the tone of the game, prevents them from getting into his base and killing him by a building kill, which is, well, how he's the weakest right now for sure. The fact that Earwack and Soso are together probably is going to be somewhat troublesome for him, I would think.
Yeah, I feel like, however, he's not killing Urwak's expansion, although he could have done that. Well, maybe he's going now. He should kill the peasants and then just go away and TP. I suppose this is his plan right now, I feel, since he's going there.
Yeah,
Maybe.
although I feel like the expansion is going to go down regardless right now. Yep, there we go. So he is going to go ahead and unsummon that instead. And again, he needs to figure out a way to split them up since he's doing great in those 1v1 fights. But the longer he waits, the harder it's going to be to take on a coordinated 2v1 attack.
Yeah, with even if he manages to kill the heroes, I mean, those tanks, he still cannot kill them fast enough to
Hmm.
prevent his base from dying. That's the biggest problem that he's facing right now.
I suspect he wishes he had a Dreadlord right now.
Yeah, probably, or maybe a panda.
Or Panda, yeah, that would certainly help even more. But Infernal always solves problems for the undead players against humans. So let's take a
Yeah,
quick look at Earwack's base, because presumably somebody is going to need to attack Earwack unless he goes ahead and flattens it out, wins everything soon. How hard a base do you think this is going to be to siege? We notice he's got level 2 masonry upgrade on his towers, but they do seem clumped together for Death and Decay to take them out pretty easily.
yeah, and in general, I feel like with one worm, one destroyer, you're good to kill them even one by one. They're not that many to to be afraid of going in full power. So yeah, it seems to me like because there are so many entrances on this map, you cannot tower all of them. For instance, you can go from the upper side and then from where the workshops are, and there are no towers there, none at all. So you evade every single tower that is on the bottom part of the base of Urwak.
Yep. We do notice that Airwack actually has a few mortar teams in reserve. Probably a smart move if he's going to have to deal with Soso later
Also
on.
griffins. He's hiding griffins next to
Oh,
the
you're right. I
golem.
had not noticed that. Although I'm not sure how much of a difference the Griffins will make, but it's better to hide them than have Chopka kill them off. And here we go. We
Oh,
do see that the Mountain King just gets staffed out in the nick of time by Soso. Soso does have his Archmage back here now. And we can see that pretty much all of the heroes Chopka focuses on are getting low. On the other hand, the tanks are just taking out these buildings very quickly. Chopka has his Shredder coming in to do some damage fighting now as well. He can use every little bit he can get. Does have some extra buildings just in case this does go down, which looks like it may here. But he's not going to be able to produce anything once this Halls of the Dead goes down. This is just a bad situation for him right now.
yeah, he cannot. He just cannot stop the tanks. He might be able to kill off the Archmage right now.
Yep, and the Archmage does look like it will go down, so Soso loses a hero again to Chopka, but regardless, the siege engines are going to be able to do a bunch of damage. He does not have a TP on the Paladin right now, so he has to be somewhat careful that he doesn't lose everything here.
Yeah, and well, it will take a while until he
It,
loses all these. Oh, the other Archmage. Yeah, it works.
I think Chopka's going to win the hero kills game here, and it looks like the Paladin may go down too as well, and even able to use the coil to heal his Frostworm in the meantime. So there's now a Mountain King and a Paladin left here, both owned by different players, but the 8 tanks in the base are still the main problem. It looks like Earwack is going to retreat here, and we'll see how much damage Chopka is able to do to these siege engines.
By the way, he dropped a pendant of mana, and he's not going. He's not taking it back. It's pretty risky. A paladin might come with a divine shield, sneak in, take it.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, why do you think he is not picking it up? Is he just waiting for his mana to restore, or
No, he used the mana potion, but then
okay,
he didn't pick it
forgot to pick
up,
it up
and
after?
he's forgetting about it.
Ouch! Yeah,
Oh,
that's a great item and certainly not one you want to forget.
oh my God, he just forgot one of the best items in the game. Oh my. Yeah, he did. Wow. Well, that's something I haven't seen in a long time. Somebody forgetting an item. And Soso is going to see it with the flying machine. Yep, he saw it.
And he does not have a hero nearby to go get it at the moment, but Soso does seem like the type that would remember it and come back for it later. So let's talk about the fact that currently Chopka has 3,000 gold. He's mining off of a 7,000 gold mine. If you're in his shoes, are you trying to rebuild for production units, or are you just using that money for scrolls of town portal, pendants, that type of stuff, and trying to buff up your heroes, really make your army all about the heroes?
It's about the heroes here. He cannot make any significant army with that gold, and also his heroes are just so superior than any of their heroes. So yeah, it's about buying items like potions, town portals, maybe periups. By the way, Soso also forgot about the pendant since he didn't go and pick it up.
Yep, he does have a tank in there doing some damage, and it looks like Chopka wants to try and take out this expansion. 4erwac and Soso both are content to keep teaming Chopka, and it'll be interesting to see here how this is going to play out. I mean, I think Chopka's got to lose to a building kill at some point. He's just not able to deal with these tanks. He's having buildings go down as we speak, although it does look like he is rebuilding his ziggurats right now, trying to put up some type of defense here.
Yeah, and by the way, he hasn't used Locust Swarm
I
yet.
noticed that, yeah, and he's had a bunch of opportunities to use Death and Decay that he's not taken as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, right when they were attacking him at 7 o'clock, well, he could have used it. It
mhm.
actually does a lot of damage, and
And tanks are slow
um,
moving enough that you can really get a longevity out of it. Yeah, I thought that was odd as well, and I had meant to bring it up earlier, but yeah, I've not seen Locust Swarm go off once this game. I wonder if he is just saving mana for Impales and doesn't think Locust Swarm is worth using, or what his decision there is.
yeah, I don't know because against breakers, like against casters, it's going to be a useful spell. Well, now they're going to, I guess, finish him off in case he somehow manages to repel them, but I cannot see that happening. Tanks, mortars, griffins,
Yeah, he
two
needs them
archmages.
to screw up and really try to focus down his heroes. I mean, obviously Soso and 4erwac both need to just focus down the buildings, try and take him out quickly, but if they decide to try and actually fight his army, I could see Chopka pulling out some type of victory here. I mean, while he's not been particularly good at saving his buildings, he has managed to do a bunch of damage to heroes and that type of stuff, and it looks like he may get decent positioning on 4erwac there, or at least force 4erwac to retreat and allow him to take a 1v1 against Soso. 4erwac is playing this very cautiously at the moment. Both he and Soso appear to not want to be the first person that'll go in.
Yeah, they both don't have a lot of gold, so they feel like the other one should take the more damage. So this might work out in Chopka's favor if he manages to snipe a hero or two. Maybe if he goes around and attacks Soso's casters from behind, that would be a interesting move.
Yeah, it
He'll,
looked like he almost had him lined up on the mortars that 4erwac had before, but didn't take opportunity of it, just went with the Death Knight nuke, and we do see Death Knight getting very low there, and does go ahead and,
potion.
yep, has a potion, pops that, has the Ankh as well, and
Oh,
Mountain King goes down again, so, poor Soso and 4erwac cannot keep their heroes alive right now. We do see Death Knight up to level 9, so should have level 2 Death Pact now at least, and that'll help even more. I'm surprised we've not seen the combination of Animate Dead and Death Pact together, though, since that's usually something that's pretty common when the undead player does get Animate Dead, which is a rarity in itself.
Well, maybe he doesn't know that you can do that. I mean, if he's a solo player or mostly with solo background, you're sometimes unfamiliar with these kind of spells because you rarely use them in a solo match. So, well, Soso, by the way, is alone right now, and if Chopka, oh, I think
Chopka
he
looks like he's
barely
going for
missed him.
4erwac here and may take down a bunch of these mortars, though.
Yeah, those mortars are very exposed. Maybe he should staff them right now. Yeah.
Yep, one of them to get staffed, and the second one goes down. We'll see how the third one fares, but there's also 2 tanks here that can be taken down pretty quickly. And these are things that 4erwac really cannot afford to lose right now. He does have 890 gold, but he's only got 40 food, soon to be even less than that as these tanks go down. And Soso in a good position to try and ambush Chopka right now, but we've seen how his efforts at doing that have gone previously.
Yeah, well, Soso is also doing a good job in saving some gold for a final 1 versus 1, better than 4erwac. Well, he's staying 64 food, which is kind of odd food. Should be just either 80 or, but maybe he's just trying to pretend that he doesn't have gold, which is not the best kind of strategy when you actually have a mine and everybody knows that.
And it's in the middle of the map, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that he will go 80 pretty soon and try to finish. Well, now I cannot see him finishing Chopka actually on his own. Chopka also has 3k, in fact.
Yeah, and he still has another 4,000 on this mine. He's below 50, so theoretically he could get up to around 7,000. He looks like he's going to try and rebuild an army, so
yeah,
maybe he can get up to an 80
managed
foot
to
army.
rebuild.
Yeah.
And he's going to kill maybe the expansion.
I presume
Is he
so,
going
yeah.
to decay or Nova the peasants?
Nova, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's bad news for Soso. He cannot really fight Chopka with his heroes. I mean, level 4 Mountain King, level 3 Paladin is not really good enough against.
No, I mean, we saw earlier, they tried to focus down on the Lich, and even with a Mountain King and 2 Paladins using Holy Light on it, the Lich really took pretty much no damage.
Yeah, and it only has 1k, actually. It doesn't have any periups or something. It's just the fact that the level 3 Death Coil and the low-level Storm Bolts are just not hurting enough in that heroes.
Yep. So what do you think about going ahead and speeding this game up to 2 times speed? It looks like we may have some indecision going on right now.
Okay.
Alright, so
okay.
3, 2, 1, go. There we go. So let's talk about Chopka first, because he's been the dominant force within this game. How is he going to come about and pull off a win in this game? What is his road to success?
He has to kill both of their expansions, I feel like, and manage to make them hesitant enough not to team him to death. It's very tricky because with such heroes, you're always going to be a target, no matter what. You cannot just say, "Oh, guys, I'm dead." Especially when he rebuilds his whole base. I mean, that just speaks that, hey, guys, I still have gold and I have like level 8 heroes and you have level 4 heroes. Hey. Yeah, so I guess it's pretty reasonable that they're going to team him. His only chance is if kind of capitalizes on some mistake they have, like maybe they're not together, he manages to snipe hero or to kill off tanks, something like this. He needs to capitalize on their mistakes.
Yep, and it does look like they are going to try and team him out again. We see the tanks leading in here. This is going to be a tricky fight for Chopka to pull off. Looks like he's going for an Archmage nuke here. The Archmage does go down again. The Death Knight has popped a potion of vulnerability there. And yet again, 4erwac is going to be left out to dry here, essentially. Does not have any TPs on his heroes. And it looks like the Griffins are going down very quickly. The Crypt Lord finally uses Locust Swarm. We see the ultimate pop out there. And also has the Frost Armor on it. It's going to make it pretty difficult to bring down They've done a bit of damage
Also,
here.
it works on tanks. I just noticed it works on tanks.
Ah, nice. So even more helpful then. And they finally take down one of these towers. So despite the fact that this fight has been going on for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes in Chopka's base right now, they really didn't manage to do that much damage. They took out the 2 slaughterhouses and a tower, but both lost quite a bit of food there in the fight. So a nice job of defending it by Chopka.
Yeah, chopka is really impressing me here, especially the fact that he has a Crypt Lord, which is an inferior hero. If he had a Dreadlord, I feel like he would have been even in a better shape here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's killing off first Soso's expansion.
Yep.
And I feel like
Perhaps one of Soso's heroes as well, just,
yeah,
again.
that is getting low. No, it won't go down.
Yep. And something I also really like about Chopka that I've noticed so far is that he is not afraid to go ahead and just TP out of a bad fight. Too often we see players get kind of egotistical and feel like, okay, I'm better than this person, I can take the fight even if it's not going my way. Chopka has not hesitated to get his heroes and units out of fights, and as a result, he really hasn't lost all that much. I mean, over the past 5 minutes, we've seen him lose maybe 2 or 3 fiends.
Yeah, I feel like he has a good battle management here, because yeah, I haven't seen him losing that many units. In fact, I haven't seen him go to 100 food army.
No.
I don't think he ever had.
And I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it this time either. He is capped at 80, only 2,400 gold left. This is a pretty full army coming in here for Soso. 4erwac continues to play kind of the dead person, the weak third person who doesn't have a big army. But this is going to be tough for Chopka to take down with all these breakers and tanks, I think. Again, we see there is a TP on the Archmage, but the Archmage is probably going to get nuked quickly since it only has 675 on it.
Yeah, with 675, I'm guessing he won't last for long.
No.
Although they're doing a better job now.
They are, and we see both the Frostworms here are going to have to be TP'd back here to get them out of the Rider's snare there, and Chopka's got to be pretty worried here. I think he's got to try and focus down something that Soso has, maybe the Archmage, and force a TP out there, because as it's going, he's just losing buildings right now, and all those buildings they just rebuilt for the 1,500 gold, I mean, it's tough to deal with losing those back to back to back. The altar goes down as well, and if Chopka's not careful, this is going to be bad news for him.
And the Archmage goes down once again.
Yep.
No surprise there.
I was going to say, is that even worth commenting about now? It feels like it's just constantly dying. Ooh, but the Death Knight getting very low. Does pop a potion of vulnerability. Still has the Ankh of Reincarnation. I keep forgetting about it and thinking that it might go down, but...
Yeah, well, Chopka managed to save his acolytes, so he's not going to get eliminated.
Nope,
Or
but...
is he? He's not building.
It looks like he is just cursing out 4erwac right now. He has the ability to...
He is.
Okay, cool.
3 o'clock.
Wow, that would have been tragic.
Moments.
But here we go. He's trying to take out Soso as well. Soso has Mass TP, which could be a game changer that Soso was looking for here. Does not look good for Chopka right now. His Crypt Lord does go ahead and use Locust Swarm, doing a bunch of damage there. Does take out some casters. So at what point do they stop teaming Chopka, or do you think that that's just not an option? They're not going to stop teaming Chopka.
Well, Soso, I don't think he will stop. Like, Soso just wants him dead.
Death Knight, nice around there. Does have the Ankh of Reincarnation. Archmage getting low here, and Death Knight is back out. Let's see if it will stay alive. It's fortunately quick enough to escape there.
Yeah, well, how much gold does 4erwac have? 4erwac has a 100 food army.
Yep, and he's really not used it at all. I mean, he's got it out to play now, but he's been keeping it back in the base for the most part. I wonder if this might be too soon for him to bring it about. We saw Soso just scouted in 4erwac's base looking for a hidden army, I guess. But
yeah,
this could worry Soso.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for Soso now. Since he kind of knows that Chopka doesn't have any buildings anymore. So there is no real reason to just stay 100 right now.
Especially while he's mining. I mean, that seems like the army getting ready to
Okay,
attack.
there
And
is a
here we
fight.
go. He is going to attack Soso. And Blizzard going off on both players, dealing a bunch of damage. But there are a bunch more mortars here for Earwax than there are for Soso. And it's going to be Soso that's forced to retreat from the fight.
Yeah,
And
and
he's going to lose the
Chop
expansion as
actually
well.
came from behind and also attacked a bit, made actually so scared for his Archmage, and he TP'd a bit to prevent any further damage. And by the way, the Pendant of Mana is
Yep, I
still
was just looking at that. It's incredible that that's still there.
there. Wow. Oh well. So Urwak now is kind of losing time, although, okay, he's going now. Going to
Yep.
lose his expansion though.
Does TP, tries to TP back, but not able to do so. And actually a really good chance for Earwax to go do some major damage to Soso's base right now.
Yeah, it's 66 food against 87.
And amazingly, Earwax still level 5 on the Archmage, so he has not yet hit mass TP on it, which it seems like an hour and 30 minutes into a game, everybody would have level 6 on the first hero, but apparently that is
Yeah,
not the case. And even more astoundingly, he may be in a decent position to win.
yeah, and not only it's not level 6, and his Archmage is just 675 HP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Truly outstanding. But
nah, I
Chopka
mean,
gonna go ahead and rebuild too.
yeah. Well, Chopka I think is on Soso right now, and judging also by the chat, he's going to team together with Urwak. He's going to team Soso. So that's very bad news for Soso because he doesn't have castle, doesn't have money, doesn't have the levels to hold it off. I think, unfortunately, he's going to die to that teaming.
Yeah, do you think this is the right move for Chopka? And do you think that Chopka can take out Earwax by himself?
Well, maybe he feels like looking at Urwak's heroes. He maybe feels like I can just kill off his heroes and then just win. But it's
The tanks you gotta worry
the
about,
power
right?
of the tank here.
Yep. And it
And
doesn't help that
Soso,
Soso is hellbent on hunting him down, so that's going to be one building left for Chopka after this. And it's pretty close to Earwax's base. I'm not sure if Earwax knows where it is. I'm switching over to his view really quickly. Don't believe he does, but it can't be that hard for him to find.
yeah, and kind of Soso and Chopka are cursing each other right now. So it seems like they're both suiciding.
Yep. I do have to say, I love the insult of calling people rats. I think that's the best insult ever. I'm going to start doing that soon.
Yeah,
MAGA, you rat.
it's and for some reason, by the way, I see Soso being called a rat quite often.
To be fair, he does get called a snake as well.
Snake and rat, yeah, but I think they have a similar meaning.
Yeah, I think they do as well.
I mean, yes, he sometimes is sneaky and stuff like that, but I don't know. Maybe it's something on Play Free for All ladder. Maybe
I think
Soso
it's
has a
gotta be
history.
because Shave is the one that kind of originates a lot of it. So I think it's probably something to do with that, which I don't really know a whole lot about the PlayFFA ladder.
Yeah, well, it's
I know Soso's ranked 9 or 10 maybe, so maybe people are just jealous at the fact that he does well on it.
yeah, maybe, or maybe it's just an inside joke. I don't know, but I never managed to get it why he's being called snakes and snake Soso and rat.
And here we go. So Chopka is going to go ahead and attack Earwax now, not going for the full suicide. Does look like he still wants to win this game. And again, these nicely placed guard towers are just going down to death and decay very quickly.
I like how he's attacking Urwak, and Soso is asking him to team, and he still says direct.
You know, maybe
just
it's a pet name. Maybe they are lovingly saying it. And here we go. So Soso is going to go all in here, and we'll see what Earwax is able to do. Chop goes back on the opposite side, and he looks like, I'm not sure if that was an intentional backstab or non-intentional. But he was attacking Soso there, and
yeah,
it looks
that's
like
definitely intentional
Yep.
impale right there.
Despite the fact
What?
that I don't know, this seems bizarre to me.
This game became weird at the end, but I guess this is just pure suicide right now.
I suppose so, or maybe Chopka has some miracle plan that we don't know about. But I'm certainly not privy to what that plan may be.
Yeah.
And Soso
Well,
will be forced to back out
Soso's
here.
food is going down really quickly. He's
Out
where are his
of
buildings?
I don't know. They're grayed out. Let's see.
Ah, okay. He has a
Back right.
farm in
Yep.
Dublin Laboratory.
Gotcha.
Top right.
Yep.
That's the only place.
And there one necropolis for Chopka left. It looks like.
Yeah, that's it. So
I feel
two buildings
pretty good
against.
about Earwax's chances of winning right now. I think he's got this. Maybe not, but
Seems like. And well, he still hasn't scouted the necropolis or the farm.
no. And that farm is going to be hard to see even once the timer counts down, just because it's positioned with the Goblin Laboratory. And
Yeah, that's a common trick that free-for-all players use because you cannot see it on the minimap because of the icon. It's annoying.
yeah, I've noticed. But looks like Soso. Oh, there we go. Soso is on the move. He's going to try and do some remaining damage. How much gold does he have at the moment? Soso 330. So if he had a peasant hidden somewhere, that would be a great time to do it. Earwax passes by, just missing the opportunity to scout that out. And there we go. Chopka is on the way in. It looks like they're both going to try and do some siege damage here. We do see towers going down to Soso's Blizzard there. For all of the fact that Earwax looks like he's in great position to win this game, he's really not been able to do any true damage to either of the players. Presuming Chopka doesn't backstab Soso again, then I don't see Earwax being able to kill any heroes. Soso should be in okay position with his, and Blizzard
Yeah.
will take down these towers very quickly.
Yeah, actually, if he
And
stays on in
Archmage
his
going down
base,
as well, so Chopka hits level
yeah, and
10.
the Mountain King, and the Paladin.
Pretty much an all-kill right now from Chopka, and the tanks are in bad position now. And is it possible one of these players is going to pull off a win with only one building left? And
that's an early
stab goes
backstab
off.
here.
Yep. And down goes the Archmage for Soso as well. And Chopka looking like he wants to take him on 2v1 right now. I think that might have been a little too early to backstab. What do you think?
Yeah, that was definitely way too early to backstab. I mean, there are still breakers, there are still tanks, and you have one necro. Oh, the Mountain King goes now.
Yeah, Chopka seems to be pretty intent on winning the most heroes killed award, but that's not going to help him save the Crypt Lord there, and that may
that Crypt Lord gave level 6 Mountain King. Wow.
Yeah,
well, that should be it.
Earwax may have managed to pull off a win here by sheer fact of Chopka giving it to him, essentially.
Yeah, actually, if they continued to team him until he was down to a few breakers or something, he might have lost the game. And or he might have won the game in a similar manner like Reno did in that qualifier, not qualifier, or FML game, I feel, where he won with just 2 breakers against me and Duck.
Yep.
That was
quite the ending to a game.
Okay, so Chopka is going to actually finish Soso.
And then it looks like Earwax, if he keeps going down, he's going to stumble across that necropolis. And there we go, yep, so I think Earwax will manage to handle this and take out the necropolis, and that'll be GG. Earwax did advance into the next round, although who knows with the TP coming in. There we go, Earwax did play it smart. Chopka first in unit score, Soso finished up second there. Let's just briefly go through all the players. We'll start with the first player to be taken out, Ferfe. What do you think he did well, and what do you think he didn't do well?
What he did well was the rush actually was not a bad idea. He had Soso dead. He had 2 extra expansions, but he kind of mismacroed. He could have crept. He could have had Tier 3 sooner, get some Griffins, and just finish off Soso. Because in that way he could have, had just one he would have had the whole right side for himself. But yeah, also Chopka's attack kind of set him off there, so he couldn't finish the deed. Chopka, as an undead player, I'm pretty impressed how he managed the 3 humans with a Crypt Lord. Very good micro, good gold management in general too. I don't think he ever went above. Yeah,
He
never
got
went
81.
above 80.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty nice overall. But of course, against 3 humans, just tanks are just way too powerful, and your base just gets melted time after time. So, well, if he was a bit less aggressive, maybe in certain points of the game, he might have, or just not backstabbing so soon. Who knows?
Really, that backstab at the end seemed like it was a big turning point. And they might have actually taken out 4erwac. And speaking of 4erwac, I mean, I think he played a very passive game. He had bad hero levels. Never really actually managed to bank that much gold, despite the fact that it seemed like he wasn't ever really fighting. Got harassed early on by Chopka and fended that off all right, but never made a huge statement with it. And ordinarily, I don't think that would be a game we'd see 4erwac win more than, I don't know, 2, 3 times out of 10. It just kind of managed to line up properly for him. On the other hand, I also think it was a weaker game because he's usually a pretty solid player overall. So I was kind of surprised to see him play that passive type of game. And then our last.
He never had gold though, so
yeah, that is tough. And speaking of not having gold, Soso, I'm amazed that he managed to keep in the game after that early rush. Despite not winning the game, I think Soso actually played that pretty well. In the middle of the game, it did seem like there was perhaps an opportunity for him to capitalize that he didn't take. But, I mean, it's tough when you just keep having your heroes die over and over and over to a player that's got much better heroes. So he stayed in it and actually performed pretty well, I think, given the circumstances.
Yeah, and also, I mean, for us, it's easy to say that he could have capitalized, but we have to take into account that when he's rushed so early, he could not evaluate the gold of Chopka and 4erwac so well because he did not have any information whatsoever. Maybe they were hoarding, maybe they were fighting, who was ahead in the fights. Okay, you see the levels and you think Chopka, okay. But maybe then you see the towers and maybe you're thinking like, oh, but maybe he was staying 50 and they just had... You just cannot base that information. In your head, you think like, oh, 4erwac maybe having 5K, you know, and he's actually broke. So it is easy for us to say, but being so, if I were so, it would have been really hard to guess that I'm actually in the lead with the most gold at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, none of the players in this game ever really collected very much gold, and that is abnormal. So I completely agree with you. Any final comments before we wrap this up, Maga?
Well, I would say that this map is a pretty good map, and I feel like it has a good free-for-all future, maybe with some small tweaks around those dragons that I feel like they kind of make the map a bit more human and elf friendly. But in general, that's a very nice map, and this was also a game from a very nice tournament, Play Free for All tournament, which had a very nice final featuring HDRT, Ostone, Alien, and Let's Shave. And I'm recommending to watch that game. It's a very good one as well. So yeah.
Absolutely, and we will link to that after this. But thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Let us know what you think in the comments. And thank you very much for joining me today, Maga.
Yeah, thank you as well.
And we'll catch you guys later.
See you.